you find your daughter, I want you to bring her home.
You have a brother.
It's my sister.
You pay for this.
Welcome to Screen Recaps, and today we are going to recapping the movie Trade. In a Mexico City slum, Adriana celebrates her birthday with friends and family. Her brother Jorge lovingly greets her and gifts her a bike, which concerns their mother. She asks where he got it and comments warily about his friends, but Jorge defends them, saying they helped him find work as a tour guide. He bids Adriana goodbye and promises to take her to Zocalo, but their mother warns it's dangerous. Jorge argues the bike is a gift to keep, and the mother implies their absent father would disapprove. Jorge's mood sours as he declares their father gone. Then he kisses his mother and leaves with friends. Meanwhile, young Veronica practices English on a plane to Los Angeles with her agency's escort, Irina. Upon landing, Irina takes their passports, raising Veronica's friend's suspicions. Irina grabs Veronica's arm and threatens to harm her family, and Vadim and Manuel subdue Veronica. Her friend tries to flee but is hit by a car. Elsewhere, Jorge lures a tourist into seeing risque photos of women. Then he and his friends Alejandro and Cabron rob the man at gunpoint. The next day, Adriana sneaks out to ride her bike, unaware of a car following. She tries to lose it in an alley but is captured. Later, Alejandro sees a boy with Adriana's bike. Jorge reclaims it and finds her handmade card, realizing she's been taken. Don Victor says an international gang likely kidnapped her for trafficking. Though initially confident, Jorge's friends become afraid, but Victor reveals the gang's New Jersey route. Meanwhile, Vadim and Manuel bring Veronica to a safe house holding other captives. Vadim threatens Veronica and assaults her, and she recalls applying to the agency just to bring her son to America. Jorge stakes out the route and sees captive women transported in a truck, including Adriana. He follows them discreetly. Veronica tends to the drugged captives, learning the pills make them docile. A crooked cop picks Veronica, but she urges Adriana to flee. Jorge watches Manuel photograph the women, but can only follow on foot when his car runs out of gas, losing them in a slum. Meanwhile, the captives remain in another safe house, where Adriana offers food to Veronica, who refuses to eat. Manuel commands her to take some food, but does not touch or hit her when she declines. On the other hand, Jorge stops by a store to drink water and call his mom, but cannot tell her the truth, so he hangs up. Fortunately, he spots the truck from the window and renews his determination. Late that night, Jorge sneaks into the safe house but finds it empty. Soon, a car arrives, and a foreign man named Ray inspects the area, seeing drawings of the captives, while Jorge escapes unnoticed. Meanwhile, Manuel and the captives arrive at the riverbank. He tells them it is the border and instructs them to cross. They succeed, but Border Patrol arrives and Manuel threatens them to stay silent. Elsewhere, Ray returns to his hotel and calls his wife Patty, informing her of his location. Gloomily, he takes an old photo of his daughter and stares at it. The next day, Ray drives around the border, passing the facility where the outlaws and captives are held. He shows his badge at checkpoints for access. Meanwhile, Manuel watches the captives closely. Veronica tries telling a guard about their abduction, but he disbelieves her. At the same time, a student arrives for community service, and a girl approaches Adriana to practice Spanish, giving her a magazine. Concurrently, Ray stops at a store and hears noise from his trunk. Opening it, Jorge jumps out. Ray subdues and takes him to the cops, but hears his story and believes him after learning of the safe house. Meanwhile, Manuel and the captives continue crossing the border. Ironically, Manuel prays at a cross, which Veronica finds hypocritical. Elsewhere, Ray helps Jorge report the abduction, but Jorge escapes. Ray follows, convincing him of his help. Meanwhile, the captives cross the border, and Alex criticizes their exposure. Manuel threatens him, and they continue. Later, Jorge questions Ray's mission at the safe house, but Ray is vague. Soon, the outlaws stop in a meadow where clients await. Manuel takes Adriana to an older man who walks with her into the grass. As her innocence is taken, they resume their journey unaffected until Alex injects medicine into their companion. Elsewhere, Ray sends Jorge to clean up. His wife Patty informs him their cat was euthanized, blaming his absence. Jorge returns, asking about Ray's lack of children and cat, realizing Ray treats the cat as his child. At a restaurant, Ray notices a man and Adriana's companion acting suspiciously. Jorge recognizes the man and gives chase, but loses him. A cop questions Jorge until Ray intercedes, pretending to be his father. Spotting the man, Ray corners him in the bathroom and sends Jorge outside with the captive. Police rescue the captive, and Ray gets a lead. Veronica comforts a crying Adriana, who recalls her trauma. Alex barges in to distribute pills, and Veronica reluctantly takes one. Meanwhile, Ray finds the gang's website and captive auctions. Jorge identifies Adriana, now called Maria. He vows revenge. Ray gives the information to a friend to investigate and lets Jorge drive to the auction location. Manuel receives a call for the next day's auction, with only Veronica and Adriana in their custody. Pretending to sleep, Veronica listens intently for any useful information. They proceed to the destination as anxiety overwhelms Veronica about the unknown fate awaiting her. Meanwhile, Jorge grows fond of Ray, who stopped by for a toilet break. Seizing the chance, the captives escape, reaching the crowded main street they happily embrace after losing their pursuers in the parade. Veronica calls her mother from a payphone and learns her son was taken by the agency. As Veronica grows hysterical, their captors recapture them. Stopping in an isolated area, Manuel drags Veronica out to punish her. Hopeless, she jumps off a cliff, shocking everyone. The journey continues to New Jersey with only a torn photo of Veronica's son left. Like Ray and George, they reach the target city. Manuel brings Adriana to Laura's house to prepare her for auction. Ray checks into a hotel with Jorge, then informs authorities about the auction. Disappointed when they refuse to act, Ray asks his wife Patty to send their savings. He confesses his affair and the birth of a daughter sold by his addict ex-lover. At the auction, George and Ray bid frantically, but lose to the highest bidder. Retrieving the address, Ray picks up Adriana, but finds she's missing. He complies with Manuel to another site, where he finally sees Adriana. While Manuel counts the money, Laura demands Ray prove he's not a cop by taking Adriana's innocence. Faking the act, Ray explains he's George's friend, and they plan their escape. Just then, Manuel catches them but walks away tearfully at Adriana's urging. Sensing trouble, an anxious George waits nearby with a crowbar. As Ray and Adriana exit, George attacks Manuel until sirens signal the police's arrival. His friend Hank from the bureau reassured Ray that he would take over the investigation. Happily watching the siblings reunite, the police officer discovered a secret room where other captives were being held. As they said goodbye, Ray gave Adriana some final reminders, and she gifted her savior a necklace. Handing his new friend the money he had used to purchase Adriana's bid, the man discreetly returned the envelope and toy car. Overcome with emotion, Adriana cried tears of joy seeing the other captives rescued. Gently, Ray reminded her to take care of herself and stay out of trouble. The siblings flew home together, taking a taxi to the church, where their praying mother awaited. Urging Adriana to go inside, Ray turned to leave. Screaming in relief, the overjoyed mother embraced her long-lost daughter. Glancing back, Adriana realized her brother had already gone. Meanwhile, driving home, Ray found the money. George had returned it and smiled in disbelief. Sometime later, as Vadim lovingly bid his family goodbye, George resentfully stared at the young man. Approaching him, George viciously stabbed Vadim in the back, leaving his body in the street. Staring back remorselessly, George ignored the agonized cries of Vadim's son.
I thought I was done.